911 was the location of the emergency.
Oh, you can go too.
Hello, 911.
All people can be heroes. Let's erase the stigma of getting help for ourselves and others. Let's educate consumers to not be afraid to advocate for their peers when they become the first responder by calling non-emergency dispatch. I was sitting in a mental hospital away from my city as a consumer. It would seem to an outsider that I did not have a voice. I witnessed a patient being body slammed by a staff member. In response, I filled out a recipient rights complaint form. It wasn't long before the nurse manager was at the doorway to my room handing me a typewritten letter about how the hospital had taken action related to the incident I reported. We need to inform consumers on all levels of disability that their experience matters. Their testimony can be instrumental in reporting corruption and helping those closest to them. I was interacting with people at an outdoor homeless camp in the beginnings of COVID-19 pandemic. Most social workers were at home, staying safe. My homeless friend said, "Next train comes, I'm dead." In this circumstance, the situation was actually life and death as my friend laid on the railroad tracks. I called 911 twice and police arrived on the scene. Not every situation is that obvious. Perhaps a buddy has had too much to drink for the 500th time and is laying back on the ground not very responsive. A peer of this person is not trained to recognize the signs of a deadly emergency, but non-emergency dispatch is ready to hear the facts and respond just in case. Get the non-emergency dispatch contact in the hands of your consumer and take steps to erase the stigma of seeking the help of first responders. Non-emergency dispatch can be used for any needed communication with the fire department, paramedics, mental health workers, and police. If a consumer is concerned about the well-being of his or her peer or a dangerous situation, non-emergency dispatch is a number that she should not be afraid to contact. It may have not been urgent, but I ran into a man stranded at the bus station for 12 hours. He could not get to his home, and the homeless drop-in I called was full. After talking with the director of another shelter, I learned he could stay the night at that shelter, but he would have to be COVID tested first at a local hospital. I called non-emergency dispatch, and the police was the go-between. In an urgent but not life and death situation, we need the help of non-traditional heroes who do not wear the badge or first responder uniform. We need the peers of those in any kind of trouble to speak up and get help. Contacting non-emergency dispatch to be safe may reveal the situation is even more critical than first expected. For the mental health consumer, contacting 911 dispatch can seem frightening and in some cases result in forced hospitalization or other escalation for a situation that is not urgent. Can we educate consumers to not be afraid to advocate for their peers when they become the first responder by calling non-emergency dispatch? Federal phones are provided to the poorest in the U.S. The communication lines are there for advocacy, but there is a fear in contacting those in charge. Let's reduce the fear of reaching out by providing alternatives. Local to Greater Lansing, Michigan is the non-emergency dispatch line 517-483-4600 extension 2. Calling this number reaches the same professionals who handle life and death 911 situations, but with less urgency. In this format, everyone in the city has an opportunity to reach out with their observations as a concerned citizen. They can call non-emergency dispatch and ask, "Is this an emergency?" as they lay out their perspective of a potentially dangerous situation. They can receive assistance if they are personally experiencing a mental health catastrophe. They can be an extra eye to notify the authorities of day-to-day crime patterns. They can even learn to contact those in authority when they see someone else's rights violated. I am Daniel K. Arnold, Facebook Guy Smiley, Lansing, Michigan. friend of law enforcement and vulnerable populations.